All right, I am here with Dave Showler, who worked on the movie Labyrinth, amongst other Henson creations and even other non-Henson creations. And I just wanted to sit down with you a little bit and talk about your experience working on this cult classic movie.
Well, it was a long time ago. It was 85. We're now 2003, so it's coming up for 38 years. So there's some stuff I remember as though it was yesterday, and some stuff I can't remember at all. Before I ever did a movie, I knew people who'd done movies, and I'd say, well, what about so-and-so? What about so-and-so? And they'd go, I don't know, I can't remember. And I'd say, what? If I was ever in a movie, I remember every last little detail. But you don't. Well, I was a kid. I grew up in a small town called Boston, the original one, not the one you've got over there. Mm-hmm. And I like puppets. I just love puppets. And small town, rural town, nobody else did. Everybody was elves and football, cricket, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I like puppets. And it sort of faded a bit, you know, when I was partying in my early 20s and everything, having a good time. I saw a thing called the Muppet Musicians of Bremen. It just knocked me out. It was on TV, and the names came up at the end: Jim Henson, Frank Oz, blah, 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 Jerry Nelson. Who are these people? And how did they do that? And how did they do that? I've got to know now, but... And so that sort of set me up for when the Muppet Show started, and it changed my life. After the first season, I thought, I want one of these. So I started learning, teaching myself how to make Muppets. No tutorials, obviously, no DVD, no nothing, no online, nothing. I had to figure it out myself. So me and my cousin, we managed a couple of times to get in to the workshop when they were still shooting the Muppets. And so half of my side of my brain was going, there's suit hanging on the wall, there's Sweetums, there's blah, 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 blah. My other half was going, where's the scene? How have they done that? And by the time of the last season, I spent 6 months in my room making a puppet a week. By the end of the last season, I managed to get an interview with Jim after the end of the day's shoot in his office. It was just after Christmas. And I took in some of my stuff. I thought, he's going to hate it. And it was just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So that was that for a while. I did a telly thing for something totally different that I've never seen because it was before video. And I was called in. What would it be? Beginning of 85. Again, went in to see Jim. This time they saw a number of people. We went in sort of 20-minute slots. Then when we'd done that, we'd go out, we'd film a piece on a monitor to see how we worked, see if it was any good. But when we went in to see Jim, he always liked to know the person. Would they fit in? Would they be, however good or bad they were, would they fit in? And we was chatting away. It was just wonderful. And he says, can you do an American accent, Dave? I said, yes, Jim, but not as well as you can. Hell about. And it was just lovely. And he also said, well, can you do voices? I said, well, yeah, I can do them all, except Donald Duck and Sidney Greenstreet. Again, he was away. I can now do Sidney Greenstreet. The old that guy actor. And in the Monkey Bird movies. So that was it. Went out, did the bit, with the monitor. Went home. That was it. Heard nothing. But it must have been 3 or 4 months. Must have been. So I thought, I'll write a letter. I'll send it to their address that was in Regent Street at the time, at the upper six. I'd been there before with somebody else who was already working for them. And did the letter. A friend of mine typed it out nicely. I took it out, put it in a letterbox, came in, sat down, phone rings. Hello, this is Henson's. I thought, blimey, that's quick. It's just by sheer luck, by chance. Can you get yourself to Elstree this afternoon? Why? We're shooting a film called Labyrinth. Would you like to be involved? Well, okay. So anyway, got friends, some who are not bad at all anymore. And so, and to this day, I'm never sure whether they'd hired us already, or that was, I didn't know it was a rehearsal or an audition. To this day, I still don't know. And if you've seen the book, The Ultimate Visual History, have you seen that?
I have it, yeah.
Yeah, well, there's a full page of 4 or 5 performers holding puppets up. I am the one on the left.
Ah.
You'll not be able to see that now.
Okay.
And that was that day. So was it rehearsing? Was it? Anyway, that was it. So they called us in, told us be there Monday morning, blah, 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 blah. And I couldn't wait. You know, Jim was my absolute hero. And so the Monday morning, get there, walk onto set 8:30. It was the Magic Dance set. And of course, it's all raised up with puppeteers underneath. There's Jim. There's David. In the middle, just stacks of state-of-the-art at the time puppets. I thought, how did this country boy get this gig, you know? So that was it. You know, they stuck us under holes round the back and all, and they did a shoot round to see who could do what, and they played Magic Dance. First time I'd heard it. First time I heard that song was my whole hand hanging out of a hole in the ground, you know. And I just fell in love with the song straight away. It was a lot easier with a song that was good, you know, that you liked. And we spent the whole of that week, and I think a couple of days of the next week, doing Magic Dance number, the whole thing. And I'm in a lot of those shots. And as you know, you're not just doing one thing. You're all over. I'm at the back, hand coming out the back. I'm underneath. I'm at the front. There's a sort of a well with some puppets in the middle of the set. There's a few shots. I'm actually one of the goblins there. Because we've got a monitor under there. There's about 4 of us under there. All days, we were Dave Goals, me, and 2 other days, by just sheer chance. And I'm looking at the monitor, and I'm looking, I can't quite get the puppet in this. So I've got my head pressed against the inside and bottom of the well. And they did a shot, they didn't use it in the end, where David, doing all this bits and all this stuff, and he jumps in to the well. And so I'm doing. Not everybody can say they had been jumped on their head by David Bowie. But I have. So we was doing that number, as I say, for about 7 days. And David was just charming, down to earth guy, you know. Sometimes he'd go off to his caravan, which is fair enough. And other times he'd just sit with us, you know. Well, did you know there's a lot of setup goes on in a movie? You're hanging around for a lot of time. And he'd be sitting there smoking his Woodbine or cigarette, whatever it was, you know. Nobody else smoked on set, obviously. And he was just talking just general stuff. It's just lovely. But there was one story. There was lots of live animals on this movie, as you know. Mm-hmm. And there was a little vulture thing. It's like a tiny vulture. I'm not sure what it was. And all the animals had their own keeper, their own trainer. You know, because that's what you've got to do. You've got to look after these. So it's chaperone as well, I suppose you'd call it. But there was one that was. He was with Ocelot and David, and he had this thing sort of sitting there. And David said, "William, turn around. Let's have a look at it." And the trainer had got this stick, not to just to gently tease it round. And this thing wouldn't stay round looking at us. It would have its back to us. And the guy was getting embarrassed. This went on 4 or 5 times. And David gets up and he goes, "Vince, turn round." So this thing was called Vince. Apparently, I understand since then that one of David Bowie's heroes was a long forgotten guy called Vince, rock star, one of the early rock stars. We got an early day one day, because, shooting days are long days. And it was about 11, 12 o'clock. I think we're all sitting around. And Didymus, the figure, armatured figure, was on the back of the real dog, ready for another scene. And an arc lamp blew, bang, crash, and it spooked the dog. So the dog went running off with Diddy on the back, and it went under an arc lamp that's, I don't know, there must come up about 2 or 3 feet deep, the actual stand, went under it with Diddy on his back, and I can still see it, and Diddy's head went up. That was it. There's no way they could just put the head back on poor old Diddy, and there was no other setup for the day. We couldn't go on to anything else because it was lit and set for that. So it was go home. The owl. You know the owl at the very, very end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
You pull out from the window. I take it you've seen it once or twice.
Once or twice, yeah.
Yeah. They pull back, and the owl, they pull back, camera stops, and the owl flies off. You can't say to an owl, right, when we get to this scene, when we get to this part, I want you to fly off. It's because it's not listening. So they had to think, how can we get the owl to fly off on cue? So, brilliant idea. They had one of the technicians with a air blaster thing, sort of a glorified hairdryer, really, but bigger. So the camera pans out, guy turns the thing on, and the idea is that the owl gets to shoot a shot of hair up its rear end, and off it goes.
Right.
Now, I wasn't there that day, but I saw the rushes the next dailies, call them dailies over there, the next morning. So we saw it all together, and there must have been 20 or 30 of them. And the owl just clung on to the branch. It would, and there's flowers, they were all over, not coming off, but all fluttering all over, still attached to the owl. And there was about 20 of these takes, and in the end, there was one, you could hear Jim saying, okay, we'll go with that. And there was one that they did actually use because it let go and off it went. But if you look at it, again, it's another, you won't be able to unsee it, so I don't want to spoil things for you. But if you look at that, you will actually see, before it flies off, its rear end feathers fluttering. But you can almost see it on the owl's face. Oh, I better let go, else I'm going to have a frostbite in my bum,
Well, I'm going to go look for it after this.
Yeah, well, you won't be able to unsee it now. You know the bit where they're towards the end, and the little gang of them are going into Jareth's castle. There's Sarah, there's the dog, there's Diddy, there's Hoggle, and they're going in. And the idea was that they go in, and the dog had to go in with them. But again, the real dog, it would go off that way, it'd go off that way, or it wouldn't go anywhere. And again, I was watching these takes, one after the other, and I was, oh, it's me, It was funny in one hand, but you couldn't laugh because Jim was there, all the, what's funny, boy, No, you wouldn't have said that. So, after, there was dozens of takes, the dog just wouldn't do it. So just because people were getting fed up and they wanted a laugh, I don't know if you do it over there, but over here, not so much now, but then, milkmen used to deliver the milk in milk bottles. And they'd leave it outside your front door, and they'd come for the money once a week. So, I can't remember who did it, one of the, not sure who it was, but just to get a laugh to ease the tension, this guy put 2 bottles of milk outside Jareth's front door, in effect.
Yeah.
And got a big laugh. You could see it. You could hear it on the track. And of course, okay, let's go again. Doors open or whatever it is. They all go in. dog goes in perfectly. These milk bottles here. Because the dog probably just needed a break, while it gets... And Jim said, oh, no, it's the one with the milk bottles. And Jim said, well, let's go for it. It's got to have tea. Whatever it was. And it's amazing the amount of people who have never noticed the milk bottles.
Of all of the characters that you puppeteered, which one was your favorite?
Because I was lots of different goblins, even in the Magic Dance number. I was lots of things. I said, at the back, at the front, underneath, all over the place. It's just so I get in there. So it was mainly goblins. But I think my favourite one, there's a photograph that I sent you that I actually use as my 10x8 when I do the occasional Comic Con, with me, with one with his elbow on my shoulder. And then, so I was on the film on and off all the way through, which was good. I did a little bit of the Well of Hands, just background, none of the main things, just the background thing. And I did all the battle scenes, on the battlements and actually in the houses, things hanging out the houses and all that stuff. And the party thing at the end, the very end, should you need us, and then they all go crazy with the fun. Did all that. We all got, when the film was done, about a month afterwards, all performers were sent a Labyrinth poster, a full-size Labyrinth poster. Came in a tube and all the rest of it. And the idea was I was going to get it framed, but just for the time being, I put it on the wall in my little workshop I had at the time. Signed by Jim. And I was away for a couple of weeks. But when I got back, I don't know how it happened, but the poster was covered in mould. It was just awful. Over about 2 or 3 week period. Apparently, I was telling this to somebody else a while ago, and they said it's exactly the same happened to mine. So wherever there was made, there was probably a spore in the factory or something, whatever. But the odd thing is, where Jim had signed it, fine. The rest of it, blobby, boldy, grey, bluey, bold stuff. But where Jim had signed it, it was absolutely fine.
Oh, wow, that's big.
Yeah. Well, the size of a poster.
Yeah,
they're
huge.
Size. No, we're not talking some little 10x8. So that's and it's not just to anybody, it's to Dave. Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I love it.
Oh, thank you, darling. You're pretty cute yourself.
That's so great. And did you teach yourself how to make these?
Yeah, absolutely from scratch. As I say, there was no videos, there was no how-to books, absolutely nothing. I just had to sit down, I got some fabric, once I'd made one and figured it out how to do it, that's how I still do it now, more or less. And I do, all right, stop showing up. Okay. I won't steal this thunder. I'll go back down there again. Okay, nice to see you. See you again sometime. Hello, how are you?
Oh, wow.
Thank you so much, yes.
And you still make these?
When I want to, yeah. Yeah, I won't take orders anymore. I don't want to be under pressure. I need it by last week, all that nonsense anymore. And then halfway through it, decide to want something else on it, But everything I made, everybody loved, So, And if it wasn't for Jim, I wouldn't be doing any of this. And when Jim's ever on the TV, and if my kids are about, and they're grown up now, obviously, my kids, but if ever Jim's on TV and the kids are around, I always say, look, there's your Uncle Jim. Because if it wasn't for Jim, I wouldn't have moved to London, I wouldn't have married the woman I did, and I wouldn't have had those kids. So we always refer to him as Uncle Jim, because without Uncle Jim, there'd have been no career for me, there'd have been no kid. My kids would have been completely different kids, back down in Lincolnshire and Boston.
Yeah.
So, God bless him. Well, that was an absolute joy. It's delightful speaking to you.
And you as well. Thanks for sharing your wisdom. I think you've shared a lot of things that probably nobody knew.
Don't tell anybody.
I won't tell us all.
Not much, yeah. All right. Goodbye, everybody. It's been lovely speaking to you. Anybody who watches this, I hope you like it. I hope you gleaned a little bit of information you didn't know. And I hope some of the stuff didn't spoil the magic for you. But until the next time.
Until the next time. Thank you.
The magic's still there.
I think it'll always be there.
So it should be.